Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kemi, and I'm here to talk about Beyond the Gates Season 2, Episode 79. Now, before we begin, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications so you'll know whenever I post. All right, so we start the episode off with Martin going to see Vernon, and they talk about his event at the hospital because he had like a some campaign event at the hospital or whatever. Um, Vernon mentions, oh, if you may Vernon mentions that Anita is there, and he was worried, and he was just like, no, she's just there to get her, just to do a checkup. Vernon is talking about how he's ready to get back to regular duties since he's out of caretaker mode. Martin tells him about Smitty and the security detail, and Vernon wants to know what Smitty is working on, but Martin doesn't know. The rest of the family are okay with that. They're in agreement with the security details except for Smitty. And then Vernon doesn't know why Smitty would, feel a way about it or whatever, but he's just like, okay. Then Martin mentions Joey and mentions his run-in with Joey when he was at the club when he and Smitty had got into it or whatever. So Vernon says he'll take care of Joey. Martin then tells him how Smitty feels about him running for Senate, and then he talks about how he really wants it. Vernon tells him to focus on his current race, because if he doesn't win this, then the Senate is out of the question. So focus on this one. Martin thanks him for being his sounding board. So we see. Let's see. Let me stick with this. Okay, so we see Smitty. He is at the club. He runs into Ted. They talk about catching up since they haven't seen each other in a while or whatever. So he Smitty is asking him if he's okay with sitting at the table because they start talking about the cotillion. So he asked him if he's okay with sitting at the table with Nicole, and he's just like, yeah, he's okay. Then he asked him if he's going to bring a plus one, and he mentioned, sorry, he asked if he's going to bring a plus one, and he mentions, Ted says something about Shanice. Smitty is just like, oh yeah, Shanice is nice. I just recently talked to her. He starts to ask him about the blood and the plasma and how it works and how it affects him. And Ted is just like, it don't affect me because all of my surgeries are elective. So if we're out of blood, then we're just gonna wait until we get some new ones before I even attempt to do a surgery. We'll just have to be pushed back. So then Ted, after Smitty has asked all the questions, Ted says, well, now I have a question for you. And he wants to know what he's working on. And Smitty plays it off, and then he leaves. So we see Jessica and Samantha. They are at the house, and sorry, yeah, we see they're at the house, and they are talking about cotillion. And I'm sorry, I'm just looking for that picture because I know I had it. I'm sorry, y'all. There we go. All right. So we see not Smitty. We see Jessica and Samantha. They're at the townhouse, and they're talking about their projects for the cotillion. Um, Samantha wants to know if she sounds jealous, or when she thinks she's jealous. She wants to know if she sounds jealous when she thinks of the idea of Leslie taking her idea for the clinic and running with it. She gets salty. So Jessica tells her no, it's valid. And Samantha tells her Martin says the most important thing is all the good that it's doing. They then talk about Jessica's project, which is conflict resolution and how to help people, with conflict resolution, of course, or whatever. So she says that, as they're talking about it, she says, she's been looking into the UCLA classes on conflict resolution, and Tyrell comes down, and he's just like, why didn't you tell me that you got in? She was just like, I just found out. And they send out the acceptance for her college later than when they send out for his, because his is engineering, because he had found out earlier, and she's in science and something else. So she was just like, I think they send, hours out later than they send yours. So when you found out, I hadn't got mines yet, or whatever, basically. So he tells her that, he asked her if she's going to go, and she's just like, she isn't sure. She's still making up her mind. He says, I chose Banneker, and if she moves, they're going to have to, if she moves to Cali, then then where does that leave them? So Jessica says she's still trying to figure it out. She doesn't know what to do. Um, Tyrell asks Samantha to give them a second, so she leaves to go get a drink or whatever, some boba or whatever. So once she's gone, Tyrell and Jessica are talking, and he's basically saying, all the guys are gonna want to be with her, and all this other stuff. And she tells him that she wants to be with him, and they'll make it work. They got Zoom, they got FaceTime, they'll make it work. He says, cool. And she says she wants him. He says, cool, no one's going to be home for a while, let's go upstairs. So they go upstairs, they start making out, and then Smitty comes home. So Smitty comes home, and Samantha comes home also. I mean, Smitty comes home. He gets a text from Jacob saying that he lost contact with Ren. So he's focused on that. Samantha comes home, and she wonders where Tyrell is. Tyrell and Jessica are. Then we see them coming down the stairs. Smitty's not paying attention. Then when they get there, Tyrell says, oh yeah, I ran into Jessica when she was coming out of Samantha's room. And Samantha was just like, no, you didn't. And was just like, she was, she gets mad, and she was just like, no, you didn't. Um, you tells him, no, you didn't. I'm sorry. um, she says, no, you didn't. So she's telling this to Smitty, and Smitty isn't paying attention. Smitty then says, he Tyrell apologized, and Smitty says it's okay. Samantha's pissed. Smitty says that he and Martin will talk to him later, and he has something to do for work, so he gets up because he's getting ready to go do something. Samantha isn't having it. She's just like, what happened with, she brings up what happened with her and Nathan, and how they grounded her forever. But with Tyrell is just like, oh, it is what it is. Tyrell is just like, we're like, like, what did I do to you? And she was just like, oh, nothing but gaslight me. And she was just like, besides gaslighting me, nothing but nothing. It's just about fairness. So Martin comes home, and he wants to know what's going on. Samantha tells him, and Tyrell says it's not the same. Nathan was scum, and he and Jessica are in a relationship. Um, and they will continue no matter where she goes to college. Samantha says it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, and says, so y'all are okay with your son, but not your daughter. Jessica says, oh, this is what my conflict resolution is. So she explains what everyone is feeling, and how Samantha's pissed because when it happened to her, she was grounded, but now that it's with Tyrell, it's just like bygones be bygones. So she says that Martin and Smitty, although they are part of the LGBTQIA plus community, they fail to escape the sexism of the patriarchy. So then Martin's just like, so how would we use your conflict resolution? How would we resolve this? So she tells them, she tells him what will happen. So Martin was just like, okay, cool. So then Tyrell is punished. So Tyrell is now pissed at Jessica because she got grounded. And Smitty says, oh, maybe maybe we should tell maybe we should tell Jessica's parents what happened. And Jessica was just like, oh, no, I'm good. So then Tyrell asks how long is he grounded for, and they say until cotillion. And Samantha's pissed again because she's just like, when she was grounded, it was for much longer, and for them it was, for him it's not that long because cotillion is right around the corner. So Jessica wants to know if Tyrell is still going to be able to come to the rehearsals. And Smitty says yes, because he made a commitment, so he'll be there. And Tyrell is just like, I'd rather be locked in my room. because he pissed that he got grounded. So we see, and give me 1 second. Sorry about that. All right, so we see Chelsea. She comes into OG's and she sees Leslie. Um, she sees Leslie. So she approaches her about stealing her wedding. And I'm sorry, I forgot that quick what happened. I'm terrible. Um, Lord, what am I doing? Sorry, y'all. All right, so I apologize. Let me start over. So we see Chelsea. She walks into Orphe Jeans or OG's, and she sees Leslie. You know, she rolls her eyes, but then she approaches her and she talks. She tells her about her stealing her wedding, and she hopes now that Eva has made it clear that she isn't getting married anytime soon. That she'll keep her head out of their business. Leslie says she wasn't thinking about her. But now that she's in her face, she's going to have to reconsider. Chelsea wants to know why she's so antagonistic. She says no, Dupree has the right to call her that. At seeing how Vernon has put a stop to her building her house. Um, and she says Chelsea has it all wrong. Chelsea says, does she though? Ted is the one that she had an affair with and dropped her like a hot potato, but she has beef with Aunt Nicole, who never did anything to her. Leslie says Nicole has done plenty, including choking her. And Chelsea says, you baited her and drove her to it. She knows the story. She says Leslie tells her that you Dupree's let yourselves off the hook for the things that you judge others for. Chelsea tells her that she won the lottery because of Anita and she should thank her and move someplace else. She tells her that she really should be happy. She tells her that she would really be happy if she just forgot about her family, but she'd rather devote her life to resentment. Leslie tells her her life doesn't revolve around the Duprees. It does. She is a fixture in the community, and she has a free clinic that you stole from a Dupree. So yeah, I'm gonna come back to that. Chelsea says you're trying to buy yourself a decent reputation, and it won't work because everyone knows she is far too selfish to do um, any real work for the greater good. Leslie tells her she's gonna feel like an idiot when she realizes how wrong she is about the clinic. Now, and then she leaves. So before we move on, Miss Leslie, you antagonize those people every chance you get. They don't be thinking about you. It's you who is always bothering them. So you are the one that's being sorry. You're the one that's being antagonistic to them. I can't talk today, y'all. My bad. Also, like she said, Ted is the one who did you wrong, but you came to town on some rah rah ish on against Nicole as if Nicole is the one who did you wrong. Nicole didn't know about you. Yet and still, you still antagonize this lady to this day, even though she still ain't done you no harm. You came after her and said a bunch of foul ish to her, and she put her hands on you. You deserved it, but they didn't come for you. You came for them. So miss me with the way you are. And you are not a fixture in this community. You are new money who, again, is trying to buy a decent reputation by this free clinic, and everybody knows it. Your daughter even says it. And again, you took this idea of the free clinic from a Dupree. So yes, you are I'm sorry, y'all. But yes, you are worried about them. And yes, your life does revolve around them. Everything that you do is in competition to them. And that's where I you stuck now. So she leaves. We see so sorry. We see Anita. She is at the hospital. She's talking to um Madison about Vernon, and thanks her for being there for Vernon and helping him get tested. And then they talk about how older people normally don't like to get tested for things when they get older, especially with memory, because they always think it's worst case scenario. And sometimes, more times than not, it's something that's treatable, like vitamin D deficiency, which was Vernon's issue. So they talk about that. And she they talk about Vernon getting back to normal, and Anita is just like, she can't wait to get back to normal with him and do all the things that they've been doing. I was just like, y'all so nasty. So then we see Leah, she's on the phone, she's talking to Ren, and she tells him that Grayson got the job done and thanks him for getting Grayson back on track. um she tells him she gave him a warning as well. So then we see Leah. She meets with Madison, and she tells her that the hospital board is aware of the malpractice suit, and because of that, she can't see any patients until the suit is over. She can still do research, but she can't. I think that's what she said. I think she can still do the research, but she can't see patients. And Madison is sad about that. So she calls Chelsea to tell her about that, and Chelsea tells her to meet her at the club. So she meets Chelsea at the club, and Chelsea is telling her, you know, she, Madison thinks they're going to do yoga. Chelsea's just like, no, we're going to do boxing. She explains how she got into boxing. Her dad taught her when she got into the modeling agency, because she just had to be careful and be on guard or whatever. So she teaches her how to throw a punch, jab, uppercut. And so then they go and do their workout. After their workout is done, Madison feels so much better. Um, she gets a call from her mom, and she's just like, oh my God, why isn't she not paying attention to the fact that I'm not answering? I don't feel like dealing with her. Chelsea says, I'll do it then. So she gets on the phone, she goes off on her, and she basically tells her, you was wrong, and don't contact her again. And any communication that you want to have about this lawsuit will come through um, Madison's lawyers. And so she hangs up, and Madison is happy, and she thanks her for taking good care of her. So we see okay, so we get back to Anita. She is still at the hospital. She runs into Shanice, and she's thanking Shanice. Shanice is asking her, because Anita has already seen her doctor, so she's set up her. Shanice asked her how to go, and she's telling her, I got set up my last chemo appointment. Then they start talking about Dr. Monica, Shanice's aunt, and how Anita is very happy that she was there for her, and how she stepped in and did everything that she, did or whatever. And she says, the next time that your aunt's in town, let me know so I can get with her so we can talk about the new cancer research for the foundation. So Leslie comes in, and she interrupts them as they're talking, and she was just like, I need to speak to Leah. And Anita chastised her, and so it's just like, don't you see us talking? And she tells her to apologize to Shanice. And she tells her to apologize to Shanice. And um Anita, Leslie gives a backhanded apology, and Anita isn't here for it. Leslie says, she's already had a lecture from one Dupree. She doesn't need another one. We see Ted walk in. Anita tells Leslie says something about Anita and her being, born with a silver spoon, or something to that effect or whatever. And Anita tells her, you know good and well that I was not born with a silver spoon, and I had to get it out the mud in Cabrini Green, just like the rest of the articulates or whatever. And Let me see. And yeah, she works for hers, and it's a good thing that her mother taught her home training before she left. And Leslie says at least she got to know her mother. At least she got to know her mother, and not everyone was lucky to grow up and know who their mama was. And then, she plays the victim card and she walks off, and then Anita's feeling bad or whatever. And I'm just like, girl, leave that lady alone. So we see Anita. She is back at the house, and yeah, we see Anita. She back at the house, and they talk about their day. So she's telling him about her appointment with the doctor, her last chemo session, her run-in with Leslie. He's telling her about what happened with him and Vernon, and then they talk about Joey of it all. And Yeah, they talk about Joey of it all. She goes and gets him a drink. We see them sitting up on the couch again, and they're hugged up on each other, and they're happy to be taking care of each other again. So we see Ted. He approaches, and I don't have a picture, sorry y'all. So we see Ted. He approaches Shanice. Sorry, I don't know why I put that picture up. My bad. So we see Ted. He approaches Shanice, and he asks her, she was just like, "Oh, did you see that?" And he was just like, um, "Yeah." And he was just like, I had a flashback of Anita telling him off when it came to Dana and Eva of it all or whatever. And he says, when she dresses you down, it hurts your soul. And Shanice says Leslie had it coming. She has to go back to work. So then we see Leslie. She sees Leah, and she's trying to talk to Leah, but Leah is just like, I make an appointment with my office, and then we'll talk. And she walks off, and Leslie is yelling, I'm not calling your office, but I will call your boss, blah 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 blah, whatever. So we see Ted. He goes up to her, and he was just like, I'm gonna regret asking this, but do you want to talk? So we see them in his office, and she's complaining about not having Barbara in her life, and that it's unfair that she didn't get to know her. And Ted says the same can be said about Eva and him. She says she regrets how she played, not how she played it, but she regrets that he wasn't in Eva's life, but they're making up for lost time. He says, that's what he's trying to do. And he mentions, what's coming up, and what's coming. He mentions that it's been a year that he found out about Eva, and then he talked about the anniversary party. She says they've done things to hurt each other, but here they are, being good with each other or whatever. So he holds her hand, and tells her, whatever. Leslie gets closer to him as if she wants to kiss him or whatever. And Shanice walks in, and she sees them or whatever. So Leslie leaves, but she says to Shanice, Ted can't keep his hands off of me. And then she walks out. So Ted explains what happened. Shanice says, Leslie instigated it with Anita. Ted doesn't care. He says Leslie is still human. He says today he caught a glimpse of the woman he knew back in the day, and she wasn't so mean back then. Shanice says Leslie makes a conscious effort to being mean, and Ted feels like he caused it when he dropped her, and he feels like he owes it to her to show her some grace. And Shanice says when that urge goes away, let me know, and she leaves. So that was an episode. Yeah, it was a cute episode also. I'm annoyed with Ted. One, I'm annoyed at the fact that he keeps calling her Dana, because I feel like the fact that he keeps calling her Dana, it keeps giving her that battery in her back, that like, oh, he still wants me, da 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 da. He's still stuck in the past, because everybody else calls her Leslie but him, and he's the only one that calls her Dana, and it's so annoying. I think Peaches calls her Dana too. I don't know, but either way it goes, call that lady Leslie. Everybody else is calling her Leslie. Please call her Leslie. Also, Leslie, what aren't you understanding about the fact that your mama didn't want you? Even if your mama didn't take herself out of this world, you still would not have known her because she gave you up. That had nothing to do with Anita. You need to be mad at your mama, not Anita, because Anita had nothing to do with the fact that your mama did not want you. The fact that you keep making it as if it's it's Anita's fault that your mama isn't here is annoying because it's not her fault. It's all of their faults. If we're gonna put it on one, we're gonna put it on all. And also, either way it goes, she still didn't want you. So it don't matter if she was here or not. That woman didn't want you. And also, you still had a mother in your life. Did Peaches not teach you home training? Like, Lord, I don't know what's going on with my throat. Sorry, y'all. But I don't understand why she acting like she didn't have a mother figure at all in her life. You had Peaches. That lady should have taught you home training. And if she didn't teach you home training, that's on her. That is not on Anita and the fact that Barbara was not in your life. But I digress. Eva and Leslie are just the same. Y'all always talking about how you ain't have your daddy in your life. You ain't had your mama in your life. But y'all both keep forgetting that your mama didn't want you and your daddy didn't want you. Your mama gave you up and your daddy wanted to unalive you. So miss me with all of that. I ain't have X, Y, and Z. But I digress. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, turning on your post notifications so you'll know whenever I post. Get down in the comments. Tell me what you guys thought about this episode, and I will see you guys in the next one.